Rainbow Magic. Clare the Caring Fairy. By Daisy Meadows. The Last Day. It was a beautiful summer's afternoon on Rainspell Island. Rachel Walker pulled shut the door of the sunny day's bed and breakfast and skipped down the steps. Her best friend Kirsty Tate was waiting for her on the path, and their parents had already started walking towards the park. "I'm really looking forward to this barbecue," said Rachel. "I'm starving." "I think the hot weather makes us hungrier than usual," said Kirsty with a grin. "Just thinking about burgers is making my stomach rumble." Rachel laughed and reached out to hold Kirsty's hand. "This has been one of the best holidays ever," she said, as they hurried to catch up with their parents. "I can't believe that we're going home tomorrow." "Holidays on Rainspell always go too fast," said Kirsty. The two girls shared a secret smile. Rainspell Island was the place where they had met and become best friends, and where they had had their first adventures with the fairies. "It's a great idea to celebrate the last day of the Summer Friends Club with a barbecue," said Mr. Walker, with a twinkle in his eye. "I love barbecues." At the start of their holiday, the girls had joined the Summer Friends Club, a holiday play scheme for children who were staying on the island. Now they had reached the end of their stay, it was time to say goodbye to all their new friends. "Although it has been a bit harder to make friends than I thought it would be," Kirsty said to Rachel. "I agree," Rachel replied. "It's all because of mean Jack Frost and his goblins. They've caused a lot of mischief." Walking a little way behind their parents, the girls talked quietly about the adventures they had been sharing with the friendship fairies over the last few days. "It's been non-stop magic since the day we arrived," Kirsty remembered. "Esther the Kindness Fairy whisked us off to Fairyland for a tea party with her and the other friendship fairies. It would have been lovely if Jack Frost hadn't turned up," Rachel added. Jack Frost and his goblins had sneakily stolen the fairies' magical objects while no one was looking. He wanted to use them to get lots of friends that he could boss around. And, as long as he had the magical objects, friendships in the human and fairy worlds would suffer. "Jack Frost loves trying to spoil everyone's fun," said Kirsty. "This time he's really made it difficult for friends to get along. Even Jen and Ginny have fallen out a few times." Jen and Ginny were the teenage best friends who ran the Summer Friends Club. "Thank goodness that Florence the Friendship Fairy cast a friends through thick and thin spell on our friendship bracelets," said Rachel. "I can't imagine ever falling out with you. It would be horrible." Kirsty smiled, but she still looked anxious. Ahead, her parents were laughing with Rachel's parents. Even their friendships would be spoiled if Jack Frost could not be stopped. Florence said that even the magical bracelets won't hold out for long if the fairies don't get their objects back quickly, she said worriedly. "And there is still one missing, Clare the Caring Fairy's magical mood ring." "We have a whole day left to find it," said Rachel. "We've already found the other three and sure we can do it if we try our best." "We must," said Kirsty. "Without it, the Summer Friends Club barbecue will be a disaster, and friendships everywhere will be ruined." Barbecue bickering. The girls followed their parents into Rainspell Park and spotted Heather the ice cream seller. She usually sold her ice cream in the town, but today she had set up a little stall next to the gravel path that ran around the park. "She must think the park is going to get really busy because of the barbecue," said Rachel with a smile. They both liked Heather. She was always kind and happy, and she seemed to really love her work. "Selling ice cream must be one of the best jobs in the world," said Kirsty, as they waved to Heather. Just imagine being able to eat as much ice cream as you like. I think you'd soon get sick of it, said Mrs. Walker, overhearing their conversation. The girls looked at each other and laughed. Never, they said at the same time. The barbecue had been set up beside the teepee tent where the club was based. There was already a big crowd of people there, and the delicious aroma of barbecue food wafted over towards them. There's Laura, said Kirsty, spotting one of their new friends from the club. Hello, Laura, called Rachel, walking towards her. Laura waved at them. She was carrying an ice cream cone from Heather's stall. As Rachel and Kirsty reached her, Oscar, another friend from the club, pushed into Laura. Her ice cream was knocked out of the cone and fell to the ground. Oh, no, look what you've done. Laura cried out. You've ruined my ice cream. I only had one lick of it. You should look where you're going, clumsy. I don't care, said Oscar, with a shrug. You should have been looking where you were going. Laura stormed off, and Rachel and Kirsty exchanged a knowing look. Oscar and Laura were not usually bad-tempered, but today they didn't seem to care about anyone. I know exactly why they are being so mean, said Rachel in a low voice. Because Jack Frost still has the mood ring, people have stopped caring about each other's feelings. They walked closer to the barbecue and saw a lovely seating area made from long, thick logs. Several of the other children from the Summer Friends Club were there, but they didn't look very happy. They all had their arms folded, and they were arguing in loud, cross voices about who should sit where. Suddenly there was a crash and a splash. Eric had kicked his football into some drinks and knocked them all to the ground. The drinks, exclaimed an elderly lady. You should be more careful, young man. Eric just smirked at her. Why should I? He asked. It's not my problem. He kicked the ball again, and it crashed into the log seats and sent some of them tumbling down. What a rude little boy, said the elderly lady. The girls felt very embarrassed. They knew that Eric wasn't usually rude at all. Things are getting worse, Kirsty whispered. If we don't find the mood ring soon, perhaps Florence's magic will start to wear off and we will start not caring as much about each other's feelings. The best friends looked at each other in dismay, and then hooked their little fingers together. We won't let that happen, said Rachel in a fierce voice. We will find a way to stop Jack Frost. They went to find their parents, who were standing in the busy queue for the barbecue. All the adults looked irritated, and a few of them were pushing the others to try to jump ahead in the queue. As the girls watched, a couple of men were nudged aside and Mr. Walker pushed his way out from the crowd. He had a burger clutched in his hand. I got one, he shouted. It's the very last one, and it's all mine. Kirsty, Rachel, and the other parents all stared at him in astonishment. What about burgers for the rest of us? Asked Mrs. Walker in a surprised voice. Mr. Walker just shrugged as if he didn't care, and took a big bite of the burger. Dad? Asked